Hello and welcome. This is Tom Claas from CU's Software Solutions. Today, we're going to look at how to record and run your first macro in Excel 2007. This tutorial will be under the assumption that you have little to no knowledge of Excel. I'm going to be explaining what macros do, how exactly to record them, and a few different ways to run them. But first off, we need to make sure that we have the Developer tab available on the ribbon. To do this, we're going to go to the top left corner of the screen and click the Office icon. Next, we're going to go down to Excel Options and click that. We are under the Popular group, and basically what we want to do is we want to make sure that this tick box here has been ticked next to Show Developer tab in the ribbon. Then click OK. Now that we have the Developer tab enabled, we're going to talk about what exactly a macro is. A macro allows you to record actions that you do in Excel and then play them back. The advantage to you is that you can record something that you do on a regular basis and then have an Excel macro do it for you. So if you have some complicated formatting or actions that you need to perform, macros are the perfect tools. Now, let's actually record a macro. Recording a macro is actually fairly simple. We're just going to go over to the Developer tab on the ribbon being this, the big toolbar at the top. We're going to go to Developer. Next, we're going to go to the Code group, which is over here. The group are these little boxes here, and as you can see, there are a few different buttons in this code group. For now, all we need to worry about is the Record Macro button. What this will do is it'll launch a dialog box, which I'll show you now. And as you can see, once the dialog box has been launched, we have a couple of different fields that we need to fill in. First of all is the macro name. The macro name will be default to macro 1 or macro 2 or macro 3, depending on how many macros you've created. What we want to do is we want to change this, because after you've created many of these, you're going to have macros 1 through to 50, and you'll have a hard time remembering what each of those macros do. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it what I'd like to call a story name. What a story name is it's a name that tells a story of what the macro does. So for this video, I'm going to highlight and border a cell. So I'm going to call this Highlight Border Cell. Now that we've got the name, we'll go down to next. The next thing is shortcut key. You have a little field here which you can click in. And what we can do now is we can assign a shortcut key to the macro, which means that when you're in Excel and you use this shortcut key, it'll do the action that you have recorded. For this video, I'm going to use the shortcut key Control L. So what I've done is I've clicked in the field and I've pressed the L button. Also, it's important to remember, back to macro name, that the macro name cannot have any spaces. Next you'll see that we have Store Macro In. At the moment it's selected at this workbook. We're not going to touch anything at this point because this is the easiest setting to do it in. Then you can add a description if you wish, but I'm not going to do that. Let's just click OK. Now that we've gone through the dialog box, you'll see that the macro button has changed to stop recording. What this means is that the macro is currently recording everything that we do from this point onwards. So make sure that your actions are very careful and planned out. I'm not going to change any cells, I'm not going to select anything else. I'm just going to go straight to the Home tab, select my fill, I'm going to choose a blue, and then I'm going to go to Borders. This is all in the font group and the Home tab. I'm going to select a thick box border. Now that my actions have completed, this is what I want my macro to do. I'm going to go back to the Developer tab, back to the Code group, and then back up to the Stop Recording button, which is the same button from which we started from. Now that I've recorded my macro, I'm going to show you 3 different ways about how to run the macro. First of all is going to the Macros menu, which is located here in the Code group in the Developer tab. As you can see, a dialog box has launched. Depending on how many macros you created, they'll be listed here. What you want to do is you want to select the macro that you want, and then click the Run button off to the side. As you can see, this has made a cell filled blue with a black border, and it's done exactly what I wanted it to do when I recorded it. The second way is to add a macro button to the quick access toolbar. To do this, first of all, the quick access toolbar is this bar here. Sometimes it might be on the top, and other times it might be on the bottom. Basically, it'll have a couple of buttons that you or save depending on what's already been assigned to it. But what we need is the little drop down arrow here that has a list. What you want to do is you want to go down to More Commands. This will allow us to customize the quick access toolbar. As you can see, the Excel options has launched under Customize. And you'll see two lists. One will be the list of what we have in the toolbar so far, and the others will be possibilities that we can add to it. Up top on the left hand side, you'll see another list for the drop down menu. What you want to do is you want to click this arrow, and then you'll see here in one of the choices is macros. You want to select this. Now, depending on how many macros you have, you'll have a list of them here. Obviously, because we've only created one, that's the only one that's being shown right now. So we're going to click on our macro, highlight border cell, and we're going to click the Add button. Now what we can do is we can modify this, how it appears as a button. Basically what we're going to do is we want to select our macro again, then click Modify. What we can do here is we can change the icon and we can change the name. So I'm just going to pick a different icon so it stands out. And then I'm going to change the name because I don't like those spaces. Also, I realize that this is a fill and not a highlight, so I might just change that too. Then I'm going to click OK. Once I can see that this is now in our list, I'm going to click OK. As you can see, the quick access toolbar has now added our macro button to it. With it, as you put your cursor over it, you can see our name has appeared labeling what it is. I'm just going to make sure that I have a blank cell picked, and then I'm going to click the quick access toolbar button that we have assigned to this macro. As you can see, it has run the macro, it's filled our cell, put a border around it, and only done the actions that were recorded in that macro. The next way that I'm going to show you is the keyboard shortcut key. You might remember that at the start of this tutorial, I showed you how to assign the key. Well, now what we're going to do is we're going to invoke that key. So on my keyboard, I'm going to press in unison Control L. What this has now done is it's run the macro using the shortcut key. That's a very easy, efficient way. So now I have showed you 3 ways to run this macro. There was the quick access toolbar button, there was the macros menu, and then there was the shortcut key. These are the 3 simple ways about how to run your macro. You can decide for yourself the easiest way for you. I hope you have found this tutorial informative and simple. I am Tom Claaz from CUDVideoExcel Software Solutions.